New camera, new me. Welcome to my channel. I talk about a bunch of things, including law of attraction, spirituality, self-love. But today I'm making a bit of a different video, something I haven't really made before. So this is just going to be a quick insight and hopefully an inspiration, because all my videos are meant to be inspirational, and I found that inspiration today through my morning practice, and it was just something so unexpected. And yeah, so I just felt like compelled to share it, and that's why I don't really have a video clip as I usually do to accompany this video, but nonetheless it just felt like it's really worth sharing. So I have 1,000,001 books on my iPad, because I tend to just, you know, spend maybe 10 minutes reading a book and then leaving it, and you know, it's just more like intuition, inspiration. I don't really, very rarely when I actually sit down with a book and read it for a continuous amount of time. So the other day I had that intuition to read one of the books that I had on my iPad for a while, and I actually have read the whole book prior to this. So it was a bit like strange, like, oh, I wonder what's there for me, right? And ironically it did open like half through the book on the random page. And the book is, I'm gonna show it to you actually. You Are a Badass at Making Money. Well, yeah, that was quick. So yeah, it's really like a money book and something to examine your own beliefs with money and wealth and things like that. So you know, it is kind of inspirational in some way, because I remember it was a lot of almost like hype talk throughout the book. But interestingly, something I haven't noticed, and something that I sometimes get lazy doing, is when the book includes some of the practical exercises. So I read 2 pages, and then where it came to that, you know, practical exercise, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, I can't do this right now. It's much more effort than I anticipated to, and that was 2 days ago, so I left it behind. And then today I picked it up again, and it was still open on the same page, and I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to do it. I'm curious to see what is going to come out of this, and oh my god, I'm so glad I did that. So this is a part of my practice, and you know, if you ever visited my website, you would know I have this 5 pathways to self-discovery, and one of them is through thought work. And this is, I think, is just like a perfect example of that. And I realized how it's been a while since I have done that. I have been very on point with a lot of other things in yoga and meditation and other stuff, but it's like, oh, what about my mind? I have been you know, analyzing things in your head and having insights is one thing, but I feel like working with your beliefs at that level, it's so beneficial. It's just like a whole other level of, you know, self-discovery in some way. And that is one of the reasons that I didn't do that exercise 2 days ago, is because I read through it, and the first so it has 4 steps, and it's 5 steps. So the first step says, list the 5 main things you remember your parents telling you about money. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I know what they are. I think I've thought about it before, and in my head I almost did it. And then later it's like, oh, take negative thoughts that came up for you and break them down. And she gives this really cool way of breaking it down. It's almost like having a conversation with yourself about that thought and questioning it. So example she gives is, money can't buy happiness. And then the question is, what makes me happy? And the answer is hanging out with people I love, grilled cheese sandwiches, being loved and loving others, laughing my ass off, giving great gifts, traveling, hiking, play with my dogs. So a bunch of things. Then she lists, and then she asks herself, does having money help me achieve any of these happy things? Yes. So the rewritten thought is, money supports my happiness. And you know, again, reading that, it felt impactful, but it wasn't as impactful because I'm familiar with thought work. It's a kind of foundation of CBT therapy as well. So, you know, I was like, yeah, I get it, it's cool. So when I came to my own thoughts, I was like, oh, yeah, I write all these different affirmations for money and abundance every other day. Like, I know you know, what my parents or society told me earlier on. I'm aware of those things. I don't really believe in them. So that's kind of what stopped me, that I told myself, that kind of unconscious resistance, I would say, a couple of days ago. And today morning I just went with it. I just was like, well, I'm curious to see. And the first thing, well, I have a few of them, but all of them are so powerful. And it's so cool because I did all 5 of them, and all 5 of them I ended up with a very personalized, customized affirmations, because prior to this I would write something like, I think one of my affirmations before this was, money comes easily. But in truth, that has always been the case for me. And you know, it's not really affirmation that I probably even need, because, you know, I'm not really breaking any previous belief with it. So that was interesting. And let me find the example. Okay, so this one, money doesn't grow on trees. And I feel like this is just so common for so many people, so that's why I'm using it. And I've definitely heard that in my childhood a number of times. So I did the whole thought work process with myself, and the first question that I asked, I was like, does it mean that money is always limited? And what I found out through asking myself that is that it's not so much about the limitation, it's the idea that I should be careful in how I spend it, and I should be discerning in how I spend it. And I think that was the message that my parents were trying to communicate to me, but because of the lack of communication skills or whatnot, or you know, that was the message that I got. But underneath that message is really about that not like I should take care, that I can't take care of expensive things. And when I buy expensive things, I won't value them, or I'll break them, or something like that. And I think that has been the case in my childhood, and I think that was something that has been said to me in that context. So you see, like the same phrase that many of us might have heard in our lives could be said in a different context and mean different things. So for me, it wasn't so much about the limitation, that it's like, oh no, I can't get you this because mine doesn't grow on trees. It's more like they see me break something that they bought and it was expensive, or you know, and that's what they would say to me. And I think that was really good realization, because then I realized, well, I really had to question myself, is it, can I have and enjoy expensive things and still take care of them and be grateful? And I realized that yes, I can do that, and I am doing that. And while, you know, it has been the case sometimes that I didn't, that has nothing to do, you know, like me limiting myself and not having certain things is not going to teach me gratitude, right? Like that is a separate problem, and separating it so much in my head, it was like, wow, that's just makes so much sense. So the affirmation that I came up with out of that became, I can take good care of expensive things. And it makes me feel good, because it's like, well, it's believable, it's true. I know I can and I am taking care of some very expensive things, and you know, it also breaks that belief and undermines that, like, you know, circumstantial evidence that I had back in my childhood. So yeah, that's just one example. And actually through doing that, it just made me, because in the beginning I was like, do I even have like whole 5? Like I remember a couple of things, but 5? But through doing that, I realized I do, and I have so much more. Like one really, another good one is you can get away with anything if you have money. And that was a tough one, because it's like I grew up around a lot of corruption and witnessing that and seeing that, and I think that was just an unconscious message I got from society as well. It's like everything goes if you have money, and I've seen so much evidence to that. So that is demonizing in my mind what money means. And yeah, the way I kind of broke it down, I'm not going to go into it, but the way I broke it down, I just kind of brought it in the flip side. Like, while it's still true in many cases, I'm not going to kind of undermine that not being true, but I think the big thing there is a flip side of it, is that money can make it easier to help people. And the biggest takeaway from all of this work that I did today on those beliefs, and the biggest takeaway of everything too about this book, that I thought like, well, this book is not really deep. I'm so surprised I went so deep with these concepts, you know, and it's just like got me to that point, because I realized, well, it's not about the book. The book is just a tool. It's about me and how I think about and how deep I am willing and able and ready to go in a moment. And that could be applied to everything, and the same with money. It's so that's one thing that I also wrote down, and this one of the most powerful affirmations I find. And I think money can be replaced there. There's many different things, but it says money supports the lifestyle you want to have, but neither determines it nor dictates it, you do. And that is just to say that I used to spend money on very different things 10 years ago. And now, having the same amount of money, I'll spend it on completely different things. And it's not really my attitude about money. It's because of the things that I value in life changed. My lifestyle changed. I have changed as a person. So, you know, it's just, and it's neither good or bad. It's just what you want to have. So it's kind of, you know, undermines that whole belief about, well, it's money that makes you a certain way. I don't think that's what it does. I think it's just having it. Sometimes you can tap into certain desires, and, you know, as with everything, we can go to extremes. And the reason we go to extremes, there are probably some certain emotions, you know, anything can be an addiction, anything can be taken to an extreme, but the reason for that is not the thing itself, it's what it makes you feel, it's what meaning you attach into it, and why is that so important to you. And, you know, that's already like going into the roots of addiction or certain like emotional behavior and stuff like that, which is very different than to say it's the thing itself that makes it. It's kind of bringing back that self-responsibility, but also not demonizing the things around us, right? So yeah, that was my biggest takeaway. Again, the book is called You're a Badass at Making Money, and that particular exercise is called Get Rich. And so my camera did drop, not the camera, but the video dropped, and so I have to redo this one. Thank you so much for watching. I am leaving this specific exercise, a screenshot from the book, just after this video ends. So if you feel like it, you can do your own affirmations, and chances are you have been guided to watch this today, so why not? Don't get lazy like me a couple of days ago. But at the same time, everything happens in divine timing, so whenever it happens, it does. But I do highly recommend doing this. It has been super powerful for me, and I also highly recommend the book as well. I feel like it's something that I like her, you know, kind of no-nonsense style of writing, and yeah, it just makes you think and examine those things in yourself. Yeah, so enjoy and leave any comments or anything you feel like sharing. If you found this, you know, if you do your own process and you find something really interesting, I would love to hear about it. I feel like we all have sometimes similar and sometimes very different, right, depending on the context we grew up in, things that we take on. So it's always valuable to share those things, because in some level I think we all have those common threads as we live in society. Anyway, I'll stop talking now, and yeah, check out the exercise, and thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.